Have you ever stood at a loved one's grave and whispered in your heart, "Can you see me? Do you know how much I miss you? Are you truly gone, or somehow still near?" Tonight, you're about to discover one of the most consoling mysteries ever revealed through the Church's mystical tradition. A truth that has brought comfort to countless souls. Through the extraordinary visions of Saint Faustina Kowalska, the Secretary of Divine Mercy, we learn that death is not a wall, it is a door, and love is not buried with the body, it is transformed into something eternal. Your departed loved ones have not vanished. They have not forgotten you. And according to Saint Faustina's visions, they see you more clearly now than when they walked beside you on earth. They know your struggles. They feel your love. And they intercede for you with a power they never had in this life. Are you ready to glimpse behind the veil of eternity and understand how the communion of saints truly works? If you love deep spiritual content that transforms your understanding of life, death, and eternal love, subscribe to this channel and activate the notification bell. Your soul is about to be touched by revelations that can change how you think about your departed loved ones forever. Now, let us begin this sacred journey, discovering what Saint Faustina saw when heaven opened its hidden mysteries to her humble heart. They see through love, not eyes. Most people think that when someone dies, they simply close their eyes to this world forever. But Saint Faustina learned the opposite. In one of her visions, she saw that departed souls gain a new kind of sight. Not physical sight, but a vision illuminated by divine light. They no longer see the material world as we do. Instead, they perceive the spiritual essence of love, radiating from the hearts of their families still on earth. When you pray for your departed loved ones, when you offer a mass for them, when you whisper their name with love, Saint Faustina witnessed that these actions appear to souls as golden rays of light piercing through the veil that separates earth from eternity. In Diary Entry 20, she describes souls in Purgatory turning toward earth whenever someone remembered them in prayer, their faces brightening like flowers turning toward the sun. Your love does not die with their physical departure. It becomes more visible to them than ever. They see your heart, not just your actions. What moved Saint Faustina to tears was this: souls see not only your actions, they see the intentions behind them. A mother lighting a candle for her departed child, a husband offering a moment of suffering for his deceased wife, a daughter praying a simple Hail Mary for her father. The soul doesn't just see the gesture. They see the burning love, the sincerity, the longing, the devotion. This is why Saint Faustina wrote that love creates a bridge that death cannot destroy. Every genuine act of love for your departed family is seen, felt, and treasured by them. Start today. Speak their names in prayer. Offer small sacrifices for their souls. Go to Mass with their intention in your heart. Love becomes light, and souls can see it across eternity. They feel when we forget them. There is a suffering in the spiritual realm that breaks the heart, the sorrow of souls whose families have completely forgotten them. In Diary Entry 20, Saint Faustina encountered a soul weeping in Purgatory who said, "I weep because those who loved me have forgotten I still exist." Souls don't feel anger. They feel spiritual loneliness when they are no longer remembered. Your departed loved ones rejoice when you whisper, "I love you, I miss you, pray for me." Their purification becomes lighter when they feel your remembrance. Before you sleep tonight, speak to your loved ones as if they are in the room with you, because spiritually, they may be. Prayer appears as light in the spiritual realm. One night, Saint Faustina saw golden threads stretching from earth to Purgatory. Her guardian angel explained, "These are the prayers of the living reaching the souls who wait for freedom." Different prayers created different intensities of light. A casual God rest their soul appeared as a faint spark. A heartfelt rosary glowed like a golden rope. A mass offered for the dead blazed like a pillar of fire rising to God's throne. Souls would stretch out their spiritual hands to receive the grace contained in each prayer. When someone prays for all souls, the prayers fall like a soft rain of light. But when you pray for your own loved one, the light becomes focused, a direct beam of divine mercy that transforms that soul's experience. A child saying with pure love, "Jesus, please take care of Grandpa," can create more light than long prayers recited without sincerity. She even witnessed souls being released from purgatory at the moment of consecration during a mass offered for them, their faces radiant with joy as they ascended toward eternal life. If this touches your heart, write in the comments, "I believe in the communion of saints." They rejoice when you turn back to God. One of Saint Faustina's most stunning revelations was how souls react when their living family members return to God. She saw souls in purgatory suddenly illuminated with joy. Jesus told her, "They rejoice because someone from their family has returned to me through sincere confession and conversion." When you repent, when you return to the sacraments, when you overcome a sinful habit, your departed loved ones see it, they rejoice, and their own purification is shortened because they participated in your return through their prayers. This creates something Saint Faustina called a mystical exchange. A son who stops drinking and begins attending Mass doesn't just save himself, he strengthens, consoles, and accelerates the journey of his departed family members. Your holiness becomes a gift to them, and their intercession becomes a gift to you. His renewed spiritual life becomes a channel of grace for his deceased father. A daughter who lets go of old wounds and embraces a life of faith becomes a fountain of mercy for her departed mother. This is the living reality of the communion of saints. Love does not end with death. It transforms and strengthens. But Saint Fina also gives us a sobering challenge. The souls can see when we cling stubbornly to sin. They see when we waste the graces they are interceding for us to receive, when we settle for spiritual mediocrity instead of striving for holiness. They do not condemn us. Souls in the afterlife do not feel earthly anger, but they grieve spiritually, because they understand that every step we take toward God not only sanctifies us, but becomes their pathway to greater glory. Begin today to live in a way that makes your departed loved ones rejoice. Pursue holiness not only for your own soul, but for all the souls who are silently hoping for your spiritual progress. Your conversion becomes joy that echoes through eternity. What change will you make today that will bring happiness to those who love you from beyond the veil? One of the most breathtaking visions in St. Fina's diary describes what happens in the spiritual realm during a mass offered for the departed. She saw the church filled not only with the living, but with uncountable souls from purgatory who were mysteriously present, drawn by the grace flowing from the altar. As the Mass progressed, their forms grew brighter, as though every prayer lifted a veil from their suffering. At the moment of consecration, when the bread and wine truly became the body and blood of Christ, she saw several souls released instantly, rising toward heaven, like flames pulled upward by divine love. Jesus told her that the Holy Mass is the most powerful prayer the Church can offer for the dead, because it makes present the sacrifice that opened heaven itself. When a Mass is offered for a specific soul, that soul receives immeasurable grace. Grace not only from the prayers of the priest and the faithful, but from direct contact with the redemptive power of Christ's passion, death, and resurrection. In Diary Entry 1783 she wrote, "I saw how much the souls in purgatory suffer, but I also saw how greatly they are helped by our prayers, especially the Holy Mass. What touched St. Fina most deeply was seeing how souls reacted to the devotion of their living family members. When a relative attended Mass with sincere intention, heart united to the sacrifice, she saw grace flowing toward the soul like a mighty river. But when someone attended distracted, bored, or merely out of obligation, the grace still arrived, yet only as a gentle stream. The difference was the intention and the love behind the prayer. If you truly want to help your departed loved ones, nothing surpasses having Masses offered for them and participating with full devotion. Don't just submit an intention and walk away. Go to the Mass, pray with love, Unite your heart to the sacrifice being offered. Offer your presence for the soul you miss. Saint Fina even saw souls released at the very moment their family member received Holy Communion with faith and love. The Mass transforms earthly love into heaven's key. When will you offer this supreme gift next? One of the most tender revelations Saint Fina received concerns unresolved conflict and unspoken forgiveness. In one vision, she encountered a soul who had died estranged from her daughter after a painful argument. The soul was not angry, nor was she bitter. Instead, she radiated sorrow mixed with hope. She told Saint Fina, "I see now how small our quarrel was, compared to the love that death cannot destroy. I pray constantly for my daughter's forgiveness, not for my salvation, but because her forgiveness will heal both our souls." Souls in the afterlife see human conflict with perfect clarity. Its causes, its wounds, its misunderstandings. They see every hidden intention, every moment of pain, and most astonishingly, they see how much love remained beneath all the hurt. They do not need our forgiveness for themselves. They long for it because forgiveness becomes a healing bridge that spans the divide between earth and eternity. Saint Fina witnessed the transformation that occurs when the living finally forgive a departed parent, spouse, sibling, or child. At the moment of sincere forgiveness, she saw light flowing from the living person to the soul, making the soul appear radiant and peaceful. Forgiveness offered to the dead becomes, in Jesus' words, a crown of glory for the living and a source of refreshment for the souls. But Saint Fina also saw the sorrow of souls whose families cling to bitterness. A mother who died suddenly after a final argument with her teenage son suffers not from punishment, but from seeing her child carry guilt and anger that bind him long after her death. Let go. Speak forgiveness tonight. You will feel spiritual chains breaking on both sides of the veil. Forgiveness creates bridges that death cannot destroy. Whom do you need to forgive? Perhaps the most consoling visions Saint Fina received were of children who died young. Infants, small children, teens whose lives were cut short by illness or tragedy. What she discovered changed her understanding of death forever. She saw these young souls not as they were at death, but as radiant, spiritually mature beings filled with wisdom far beyond earthly comprehension. These children, Jesus explained, have a special role in eternity. Their innocence gives them immediate access to God's presence, making them powerful intercessors for their families. She witnessed infant souls praying with deep spiritual understanding for their parents' salvation, and teenage souls praying for their siblings' spiritual strength. These young souls receive instantly the knowledge and love that adults acquire over a lifetime. Their early death is not a punishment, it is a calling. Many become spiritual guardians of their families. But Saint Fina also saw how these souls perceive grief. They do not want their families to forget them or silence their mourning. They understand grief as love, but they ache when grief turns into despair, when parents lose faith, when siblings fear death, when families believe their child is gone forever. They see everything with perfect clarity, yet they love with the tenderness of a child. A baby who died at 6 months understands theological truths that scholars struggle to grasp, yet still delights in a mother's whispered prayer and a father's quiet tear. If you've lost a young loved one, know this: your child has not disappeared. They have become your most powerful advocate in heaven, loving you with purity and praying for you without ceasing. Young souls become heaven's strongest defenders of their families. How does this change your relationship with grief? Finally, Saint Fina was granted a vision few mystics ever receive: what happens to a soul at the exact moment of death. She saw how departed family members participate in that sacred transition. In several visions, she witnessed recently departed souls being welcomed by relatives who had gone before them. This was not a mere reunion, it was a spiritual event where love became visible as radiant light, guiding the new soul toward eternity. She saw a woman who had prayed for her deceased husband, for years being greeted by him, his soul made radiant by her decades of prayer. She saw family prayer, sacrifice, and love forming the spiritual preparation that eases a soul's entry into eternity. But she also saw the sadness of souls who died unprepared, those who lived disconnected from faith and family. These souls were not abandoned, but their passage into the next life was far more difficult because they lacked the spiritual support that strong earthly relationships provide. Saint Fina saw that even the smallest prayers, from distant relatives, forgotten friends, or someone who once loved them, became rays of help for these struggling souls. No act of love is ever wasted, and family bonds blessed by God stretch farther into eternity than we could ever imagine on earth. The wisdom Saint Fina received is profound. The love you show your family today, the prayers you offer for departed relatives, the forgiveness you extend across old wounds, these are building a spiritual network that will one day carry you into eternity. You are not only helping your loved ones who have passed, you are preparing your own welcome into the next life. Every act of familial love becomes part of an eternal communion that outlives death itself. Love prepares the welcome that awaits us beyond death. What investment will you make today in these eternal bonds? The hidden prayer life of departed souls. In one of her most mysterious visions, Saint Fina was shown what she called the hidden prayer life of departed souls, the constant intercession that our deceased family members offer for us before God's throne. Their prayers, she learned, are often more powerful and persistent than any they offered while alive. She saw departed parents praying with divine understanding for the spiritual needs of their children. She saw deceased spouses interceding for the salvation of the ones they left behind. She saw siblings who once argued or drifted apart, offering spiritual sacrifices for the conversion and protection of those still on earth. What astonished Saint Fina most was realizing that death does not diminish love. Death purifies it and intensifies it. A father who was distant in life becomes, after purification, a focused intercessor for his children. A mother who worried endlessly in life transforms her earthly anxiety into perfect trust and powerful prayer. Departed loved ones see our spiritual struggles with supernatural clarity. Their prayers target exactly what we need at the exact moment we need it. A sudden desire to reconcile, a moment of strength against temptation, an unexpected comfort during a painful trial. These, Saint Fina learned, are often the gifts of family members praying from beyond. The most consoling truth is this: your departed loved ones have not stopped caring for you. They care for you with a love more selfless, more effective, more powerful than ever before. They are no longer troubled by earthly concerns. They are concerned with your salvation, your holiness, your eternal joy. When you feel alone, remember, you have family in heaven praying for you with perfect love and divine insight. Death transforms earthly love into heavenly intercession. How does this truth change the way you face your current struggles? The eternal reunion, the final revelation Saint Fina received, is perhaps the most beautiful. Every act of love, every prayer, every sacrifice between family members, whether in life or after death, is building toward a reunion more joyful than anything we experience on earth. Saint Fina saw families meeting again in the fullness of God's presence, where wounds were healed, misunderstandings dissolved, and imperfect love became perfect communion. She saw parents who died young reunited with children now restored in timeless perfection. She saw marriages once strained by human weakness renewed in the love God always intended. She saw siblings who had quarreled now united in wonder and gratitude. In heaven, every true moment of love is preserved forever, and every failure to love is healed by God's infinite mercy. Departed souls, Saint Fina revealed, long for this reunion even more than their own joy. They pray constantly for the day when their entire family is finally gathered into God's embrace. They do not see earthly death as defeat, nor earthly separation as tragedy. They see it as a temporary distance that God is already working to overcome. This is why Saint Fina urges us to love now with eternity in mind, to forgive quickly, to pray for one another faithfully, to put family love in right order with God's will. Every act of love is preparation for the eternal communion, where love will finally be perfect. Love builds the bridge to eternal family communion. How will you live today as someone destined for reunion in God's everlasting love? The final message. Now that you've journeyed through St. Fina's revelations, your understanding of death, grief, and family love has been transformed. Death is not a wall, it is a doorway. Love does not end, it becomes eternal. Your departed family members have not forgotten you. They pray for you with divine power and perfect love. Right now, as you read these words, you are surrounded by their intercession. They see your battles, rejoice in your victories, pray for your conversion, and wait for the day you will be reunited forever. The communion of saints is not a distant doctrine. It is your family, alive in God. If St. Fina's revelations have moved your heart, respond now. Pray daily for your departed loved ones. Offer masses for them. Speak to them. They can hear you. Let go of old hurts. Love your living family more deeply. Live with eternity in view. Remember the truth St. Fina discovered. Death cannot separate what God has united in love.